Hello guys, my name is John, I'm the Geeky Fanboy, and welcome back to Mr. Robot, Season 4. We're at episode 5, and a lot is happening in this one. Whereas in last week's episode, we had a lot of character development and a nice little emotional and, good moments for like the characters. This this week we're having a lot more plot development. A lot is happening. As always, the first couple of minutes are going to be spoiler free in case you haven't seen the episode yet, and I'm going to give you a spoiler warning when I'm diving into the episode in detail. So let's go. Okay, so like I said, there is a lot more happening in this week's episode. So this episode solely focuses on plot development, on what's been going on with Elliot and Darlene's plans. The episode mostly concentrates on them. We also see what Dom is up to. She gets into contact again with the Dark Army. Some stuff is happening there that's also connected to what happened in last week's episode with the whole Tyrell, Elliot, and the van thing. We'll see how that kind of gets picked up again. We also see Philip Price. We see how this whole meeting he's trying to get together, how this is maybe or maybe not coming together, what he has to do. But it has to be said that most of the episode is focused on what happens to Darlene and Elliot as they are finally taking the next step in their plans, which means that they have to infiltrate this company, and this is what most of the episode is about. It's basically a bit like a short heist film for most of the episode, which I thought was very, very entertaining. The episode plays with a lot of suspense and tension. Like the entire time, you feel a bit on edge when you're with, especially when you're with Elliot and Darlene. So the entire time, I was like, "Oh my god, what's happening? What's happening? Faster, faster! Come on, go!" Like you feel really on edge in this episode, which I think is good because I do expect that they want you to feel like this high tension and that you, along with the characters, feel like the urgency that comes with their mission. They're also doing something special in this episode. I don't actually want to tell you what it is to keep this part spoiler free, but you're gonna notice it at least halfway through the episode. Like, I started noticing it after like 20 minutes or so, and I thought it's quite smart. Like, it has a lot to do with very clever filmmaking and the visualization that is very effectively used here. But you'll catch up to it when you watch the episode. There isn't actually too much else I can say in this spoiler free part. It's a very good episode. They do keep up the tension. It's a lot of plot development. Some interesting stuff happens, and they manage very well to keep your attention despite all the hacking and sort of chaos that also ensues while they do this. So there's a lot of plot development happening here, and once again, at the end of the episode, you are just left wondering, okay, what is going to happen next week? How are they going to solve this problem, or what is going to come up next? So once again, Sam Esmail with this episode managed it to not only show us that Mr. Robot is one of the such a well-made show, like one of the best out there at the moment, but also he just manages to keep us in touch with these characters, even in such tense moments where it's not necessarily about them, but what about their doing, and just the way they use the visualization and the fact that they're doing a TV show. Like, it's just so cleverly and wonderfully made. Also, the editing and the music in this episode, they are both very, very good. And yeah, that's it for the spoiler-free part, because I can't really say that much more about it. So I'm gonna jump into spoilers for the episode now. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, turn the video off now. Okay, so I feel like there isn't actually too much to talk about. We'll see how long the video will actually be, but when I'm done. But yeah, let's just jump into what I just mentioned is this very clever thing the episode does, which I started noticing after not quite half of the episode. There is no dialogue in this episode whatsoever, and I think this is so smart and so well done. You only basically have like one line of dialogue in the very beginning when Darlene finds Elliot and she says, "It's fine, dude, we don't have to talk." And that's it. I think that's the only line of dialogue we hear in the entire episode that is like almost 50 minutes long. And the rest is pure visualization. We know exactly what's going on at every given minute of this episode, despite not hearing anything from our characters for 50 minutes. And this is what I meant when I said this, that this is such smart like filmmaking or TV making in this case, because this is using the medium of television, the visual medium, and giving like having the best potential. This is what TV making, filmmaking should be like, that you have the visual medium and are able to use it to tell a story without having to use dialogue. There was no point in this episode where I was wondering what the hell is going on. There was not a moment where I was wondering, okay, what did they actually just do? I did not understand that. No. I understood what was going on at every point in the episode, and this is just fantastic because not many films or TV shows can or want to do that nowadays. There's so much reliance on dialogue, and where people feel like they have to tell you like directly to the audience basically what's going on right now, or what the characters are thinking, or what's going on in this specific moment. But no, this episode doesn't do that, and I absolutely love it. Also because the show is able to always show you like the screens of everything that's going on, like, because that's the basis of this show. It's about hacking, it's about computers, so showing all the screens and what's going on there isn't weird. Like, it doesn't come off as cheap in this case, because Mr. Robot can do that. They can just do that. And we know the characters so well at this point that we don't need to hear them talking all the time. We know what they're thinking, we know in what kind of situation they are, we know what's at stake. And I just absolutely love the episode for what it has done in terms of visualization and storytelling. Okay, so like I said, this is basically a very plot-heavy episode. It's all about the action. It's all about what basically only Darlene and Elliot are up to. We also have some stuff with Dom. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But yeah, mostly it's about Elliot and Darlene, their infiltration of that company so they can get to that Cyprus bank account and get the information they need. So I can't really talk that much about great character moments in this episode, but I like the teamwork. I like seeing Elliot and Darlene working together, what they're up to. And also I thought the entire time, wow, Darlene has to work on her do not look suspicious face, because holy shit did she look suspicious this entire time. Like the first couple of minutes I thought, oh my god, is this gonna work? And it sort of works, sort of, kind of, maybe. For, let's say, the first half, or the first 30 minutes of the episode, I was actually surprised as to some stuff that they get away with, like the way Elliot gets into the building. I was like, holy shit, how did that work? But, it did. And sometimes security is stupid, you just have to say that. And yeah, the way they work themselves like into all the different levels of the building. I actually noticed, I don't know if this was on purpose, but I guess it was, because almost everything in the show is on purpose. I sort of kind of noticed the parallels between what they were doing in this episode and Die Hard, because the security men are watching Die Hard, which also confirms Esmail thinks that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, which it absolutely is. And I don't know, I sort of like the parallels there, because in Die Hard you also have like one man basically trying to work his way through the different levels of this huge building, and you have Elliot and Darlene basically doing the same, trying to get into the deepest levels, into the lower levels of this building. I don't know if that was on purpose, but I kind of made the parallel while watching it, and I thought that was kind of entertaining. So yeah, like I said, the visualization in this is amazing. I understood at every point what was going on, what they were doing, how they did it, even though at some points I was wondering, would this actually work? But, with Mr. Robot, I'm kind of always thinking, yeah, like they like to stay on the more realistic side, so they have a bit of leeway. I'm like, okay, that probably works. And like with the fingerprint thing, I'm like, this is so smart. Also, does this work? I don't know. I don't care. It's smart, and I like how they do it and how they get into that building. So I like how they work their way in there. And then as soon as the security man notices that something is up, I immediately started going, oh no. Oh no, 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 stay at your workstation, stay there, you don't have to look what's going on. No, no one broke in, no one used that door. But of course he looked it up and then he sees that someone used his ID to open the door. And I thought, oh shit, no. Because that is when shit starts to go down in this episode. And this, once again, was also a very good example in this episode for how much tension and suspense there's going on in this. Like, when they are in that room and they have to get the info and they hear the security guy come in. The tension during those minutes. I was, like, literally on the edge of my seat thinking, oh shit. No, go the other way. No. Like, it was like this for the last 10 minutes, the last 15 minutes. I was just sitting there thinking, oh no. Walk the other way. That was so good. So much tension and how they build up what the characters must be feeling. And you feel with them as the viewer. And once again, like I said, the editing and the music in this episode is so good because it keeps up this high energy and this feeling of like high tension, so much suspense. So that was very, very good. And I was even cheering out loud when Elliot manages to like switch off the lights in the building. I was like, yes, I know. Run out. And they do, sorta, kinda, maybe, again. And I make their way through the building, and with the security men up them, they're calling the police, and you think they're almost there, but then they see they can't walk out the front door because the police is already there, so they get into a back room, they close the door, and you think, okay, take a breather, and then we're somehow gonna leave. And then the security man shows up at the door, and you see the look on Elliot's face, and you think, oh no. No, what are you doing? And he runs the fuck out, and then he runs through what I'm assuming is almost the entirety of New York. I have no idea, I'm not from America, so I don't know. But the distance that boy was running, I was like, Elliot, what are you trying to do here? Like, I get it, he needs to distract him so Darlene can get away and keep the info, and that was very good, but the entire time I was so worried about him. I was like, Elliot, those are two trained policemen. You're an anti-social hacker who probably doesn't do much running. They're gonna catch up to you at some point. But kudos to that man's stamina. Like, wow, I can't run that fast for that long. But it's probably adrenaline. So yeah. Also, I feel a bit sorry for Rami Malek, who probably had to do so much running for so many takes. But it looks good. It's even a bit funny at some points, like when he comes across the ice skaters, and of course he runs across the ice, and I'm like, oh, no, what are you doing? No. And then you even have this short moment of relief when he gets on the bus, and you think, oh, good, he escaped. Also, who put Tyrell's face on the bus? I saw that. I totally saw that. I don't know what it means, but I saw it. Yeah, so he's on the bus, the Tyrell bus, and you think, oh, it's fine. But then the police show up again with a car, and I thought, no, go away. And once again, he runs down the street, and that one car just drives straight at him. Like, runs him over. I'm like, did you not see the man running at you and you didn't even try to, like, steer away from him? No, just straight into Elliot. And he lies there for a couple of seconds, and I thought, oh no, that's it. That's fucking it. And yeah, the police are coming in from all sides, and he's standing at the sort of railing thingy, and you don't actually see what's behind it. And I thought, Elliot, whatever you think of doing, don't do it. And of course he doesn't. I'm like that for 2 seconds. I was honestly like, oh shit. But of course, it was fine. It was just like a tiny hill. He fell down, and Darlene is there with the car, and he gets in the car, and they drive off. And So for the moment, I'm like, yay, they're safe, or at least I'm hoping they are. And yeah, so they're in the car, and Darlene managed to get out of there with some very small tricks, I thought. And yeah, they're in the car, and there's this very sweet moment with Elliot. He's just out of breath. You can see that this running was not good for him, and how like on edge both of them are. And you just see Elliot for a moment looking at her, and then he takes her hand, and it's a very sweet moment, I thought, because they both realize, okay, this was a very dangerous, very tense thing we just did, but we did it together, and we're fine, and whew, let's take a breath. That was like a very sweet ending to this sort of storyline that happened in this episode. Okay, and what kind of other things happen in this? We have Dom trying to celebrate Christmas with her family, but no, she gets called in to inspect the van that Elliot burned down at the beginning of the episode. So there we slowly start to have the connection once again between the Dark Army and Elliot, and that they're up to him and they want to investigate him and all that. Like, as soon as that came on, I was like, oh shit, they're on him again. They know what they're up to. And yeah, Dom is called in to investigate that. And once again, creepy taxidermy Janice lady. Just seeing her, I'm like, go away, you're creepy, I don't like you. So yeah, Dom has to investigate what happened to the van, and she also sort of does some hacking at the local police station, which I thought was quite smart. I'm like, wow, literally everyone in this show is so tech savvy, and I understand absolutely nothing about computers. But okay, yeah, so Dom manages to hack into the local police station, and in order to get the Dark Army the info they need, and she thinks she's sort of able to celebrate Christmas. I mean, I'm saying sort of because how do you celebrate Christmas when you know that your family could get killed at any second? And she's at her family's place. She takes her dog out for a walk, and then she sees another white van in her street, which I'm assuming is the Dark Army. And she writes down like the number plate and everything, so maybe she's gonna be up to something there. And then she gets sent a picture from Janice, and Janice says in her text, there are two troublemakers, can you please deal with them, or something along those lines. And lo and behold, it is a picture of Darlene and Elliot. And I thought, oh shit, of course something bad had to happen by the end of this episode. Because, you know, I thought, okay, the infiltration thing could have gone a bit better, but it's fine, they got the info they need. The police apparently lost track of them, at least I hope so. And, you know, I thought it's fine, but then the picture shows up and I'm like, oh no, like the Dark Army are really onto them now, and they want something from them, or they even want them killed, I don't know. But it's interesting that it's Dom who gets this text, because, you know, she knows Darlene, and she also knows Elliot to a certain degree. But it's going to be interesting to see how she reacts to this, because, like, it's a sort of reunion for Darlene and Dom probably at some point, which is going to get interesting, because Dom still sort of works for the Dark Army and has to do their bidding, but we also realized from last week's episode that she also still feels something for Darlene. So maybe this is going to be a sort of a difficult thing for her. She has to decide, okay, do I work for the Dark Army and do what they're telling me to do, or am I informing Darlene and tell them that I'm supposed to investigate her, but I don't really want to? So yeah, I'm looking forward to as to how Dom is going to react to having to investigate Darlene, and maybe even seeing Darlene again at some point. Okay, and of course I should also address like the two other little things that happen. Nothing much there, but you know, we see Philip Price, who of course is trying to organize this meeting of the Deus group, and we basically just follow him around New York, getting the info for the meeting. He gets a text from Elliot telling him Tyrell's not coming. By the way, I'm still refusing to believe that this man is dead. And yeah, so obviously that seems to be a problem, that Tyrell is not coming. But the meeting seems to happen anyway, so I guess we'll see that meeting next week, if we actually sit sit in on the meeting as the audience, you know, but I assume we will. Like, would be kind of stupid if we didn't see that. But yeah, I'm assuming that meeting is going to happen maybe in the next week's episode. Philip Price seems quite agitated and anxious, which is understandable, I guess. Also, I'm assuming something is going to happen to him at some point. Like the fact that he just wants to leave Evil Corp and also the Deus Group, that's not going to go down well. We already noticed that White Rose doesn't really like him leaving, and she's probably going to do something to him at some point. Like, Philip Price is probably not going to survive this show. It's just, I'm going to put this out there, he's probably going to die at some point. And also, I'm not going to miss him that much, let's be honest here. Okay, so what's happening to Krista is that she is finally getting into contact with Vera. So she's about to celebrate Christmas with her new boyfriend, and we see her getting some stuff at the supermarket, but we also see that she's being followed by one of Vera's henchmen. So it's a bit tense, like she notices that she's being followed, and we have this sort of creepy moment when she's walking home. She notices she's being followed. She turns around, sees the henchman, gets panicked, like all her groceries fall to the floor. And then for a moment, it seems quite polite. The person walks over, they pick up the stuff, want to give it to her, and Krista, for this short moment, seems to be relieved and think, oh, okay, it's actually fine. She turns around, and boom, there is Vera. Basically being like, oh, hi, we should finally talk. So I'm assuming next week we're finally seeing what Vera actually wants from Krista in order to get to Elliot. What Vera wants in general. He's like, I want my kingdom back and I need Elliot. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? How does anything you do tie into the rest of the show? I want to know what's going on with Vera, like what his plan is, what he's up to, if this is going to tie into anything else that's happening on the show. Like I mentioned in an earlier review, I'm a bit worried about that storyline. Like I find it interesting enough because I care about these people, or about these characters. But, you know, I'm a bit worried about him in regard to how is his storyline important to the rest of the show. Like, how's his storyline connected to what has been going on with, like, the Dark Army and E-Corp and blah, 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 blah. So I hope they are able to make a connection and not that Vera is just, like, this loose threat we have going on in the background just so we have another villain. Because that would be a bit of a weak point, to be honest. Yeah, so those are all the storylines that are happening. I also feel like I should praise like I already mentioned, the editing and the music in this week's episode. The music I thought was quite interesting because at some points it's quite funny or very intense, like with the Christmas music, or like at the beginning of the episode it starts with Ode to Joy. Like I started picking up on that. I was like, why is Ode to Joy playing in the background? Because it doesn't really fit to what's happening on screen in the first couple of minutes. But like I mentioned, this feeling of high tension and suspense is very good, and is only amplified by the music in those scenes during the infiltration. And yeah, the editing. I'm mentioning the editing because at some points the editing was just quite funny. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but for example, there's one cut where they are printing the fake fingerprint. They're doing that, like doing a 3D printer thing of that, and they like push some wax into it, and it looks like a bit like flesh as they try to squeeze it in there, and it cuts to the corpse in the van, and I thought, wow, you just had to do that. Yeah, so like there were 2 or 3 edits in this that I thought were so funny but also so effective that I thought, okay, the editor of this episode is having so much fun and I love him for it, because it brings a bit of humor to the episode, even if it's maybe unwanted humor, but I'm pretty sure they're doing that on purpose, and it works very well, and it's also quite entertaining because I do enjoy like if editing is done with purpose, and if it's done well, I'm like, oh, that's actually a good cut, or it's actually quite funny. So that was a very good editing there. So I feel like I have to compliment like the sound and editing department, especially in this week. So that's it for my thoughts on this week's episode of Mr. Robot. What are your thoughts on this week's episode? Put something down in the comments below. again, I appreciate all the comments I've been getting from you. It's a bit unusual for me to have so many views, but thank you very much for watching. And yeah, do tell me what you thought of the episodes down in the comments below. I love reading all your thoughts and theories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.